Hello, Raj. Good evening.
Hi, good evening.
How are you doing?
Very well. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll have more people joining us, but we'll get started. Thank you so much for joining us. Such a pleasure to have you as a guest. So just to set the context, hello everyone. Welcome to KNOLSKAPE's second BFSI Learning Week. Through this week, we've been focusing on the intersection of AI and BFSI from strategy, capability, and culture lens. This is the grand finale, the concluding session where we will focus on AI ready BFSI mindsets and capabilities for the next decade. To help us navigate through this topic, we have with us somebody who sits at the very intersection of people, culture, transformation, technology, you name it, in Indian banking. Rajkamal, Group Head and HR Head at Axis Bank. Welcome, Raj, thank you, first of all, for being part of this session and welcome to the session.
Thank you so much, Rajiv. And as I told you, I do these sessions to learn because obviously you ask such intelligent questions, and then sometimes I may give some answer, but I definitely reflect on those. So thank you
Thank you.
for giving me the space to learn with you.
Awesome. Thank you. And just a little bit more about Raj. Prior to Axis Bank, she led HR at ICICI Lombard, and she held key roles at with ICICI Prudential Life Insurance, GE Capital, and before that, Hewitt Associates. An alumna of XLRI Jamshedpur and a recipient of its Distinguished Alumnus Award. Wow. She is widely recognized for building inclusive, future ready workplaces and for championing talent, diversity, and organizational sustainability. So, some trivia that I picked up while doing research on this topic is that she was once given this advice to smile less and be more manager like. She, of course, as you can see, rejected that advice. Whenever I've met her, I've experienced warmth, I've experienced her smile, empathy, and razor sharp intellect. So, I'm really thrilled to be talking to her today about this topic. And I can tell you, she is already at the cutting edge. Last time I met her, she was talking about agents in HR, in banking. So you can look forward to really nuanced observations on what's going on in the industry. So to start this off on a lighter note, so I asked ChatGPT for a quick joke on AI and BFSI, and this is what it gave me. So every bank wants innovation, every risk officer wants stability. AI's main job is to keep both groups equally unhappy.
That's true.
And so today, AI is a superpower, right, Raj? I'm sure you're using many tools as a consumer, right? ChatGPT, Claude, and we're vibe coding and this and that. But at the same time, it is an unknown territory for us still, right? The other day, I was reading this news which said that there was an enterprise AI task that was given to this model, and the model started working and soon realized it didn't have enough GPUs to complete the task. Apparently, this model knew how to break the firewall of the organization, went out, did some transactions in cryptocurrency, earned some money, bought some GPU from a cloud provider, came back and completed the task. So we are dealing with obviously a technology that's smart. It is task oriented. You give it a task. It's an objective seeking function, if you will. You give it an objective. It finds a way to get it done. Whether that way is fair, is ethical, is responsible, is all a question mark. Because as humans, we have no insight into what the sub objectives are, right? So I just wanted to set that context up front. While the superpowers are well felt by all of us, there are also these risks that we are seeing unfold on a daily basis. So we'll get started with a question, because you're sitting right at the intersection of regulatory scrutiny, digital first customers. Your customers want digital and AI led experiences. Now, from your vantage point as a CHRO, what does AI readiness actually mean?
I think AI readiness is no different from any other era that we were exposed to as change, right? It really means being curious. It really means having a mindset of database decision makings to problems. It really means um, thinking organization in terms of workflows and horizontal workflows, not vertical workflows. AI readiness really means managers having a pulse of the problem directly rather than indirectly. This is not, AI readiness is not about, oh, I'll review what the work done by humans on AI is and then I'll review the humans. That's not AI readiness. AI readiness is essentially solving the problems with technology, cutting out some intermediaries, if you were to think about it very simply, and get to the outcomes that you want. It starts from intent. You need to act with AI to get the outcomes. It is as simple as that. And it is such a fun place to be. You know, somebody was saying, 2, 3 years ago, and what was I doing with AI? When AI thing came in, I was maybe doing some itinerary management for travel and holidays. Today, that's itself has gotten nuance where not only can I plan the itinerary, AI agent will do the booking, will get the best deal, will tell you exactly how to save money, where to spend money, even for luxury experiences. It's telling you everything. That the work, what I understand is 23, what the AI tools were able to do was tasks that human beings would take maybe 2 minutes to 3 minutes to do. Those are the simple tasks that AI is doing. Now, at least tasks which humans take 14, 15 hours to think, complete, maybe more, is what agents are able to do, AI is able to do. And think about it. If this problems statement and the level of difficulty increases, if we're not directly in touch with the problem, we will get at the edge.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's perhaps, the extreme point of view, but AI capability or AI mindset is just having the speed, the curiosity to solve problems to get your outcomes.
Awesome. I love the definition. Speed, curiosity, and data orientation is something that you spoke about. And horizontal, right, which is actually cutting across processes. Don't think like a silo. Business doesn't work in silos anymore. We need to be customer centric, which means everything needs to be orchestrated to be in service of the customer, which means horizontal AI is going to be super important.
Absolutely. And that's where your frame of reference in organizations, if you're working in organizations, need to change. You used to think organizations are a motley crew of people. Then you said organizations are tasks around crew of people who handle tasks. I'm changing the frame and I'm saying organizations are amalgam of workflows.
Right.
People are resources who do the workflows. Now, if you think about that, then you really know, um, if organizations are workflows, where will AI sit in? And that's where it needs to have an horizontal view rather than those boundaries of organization structure that could impede you. Yeah, and
Right.
it has
And
to be
that's a big change. And that's a big change for organizations that are vertically structured, right? We always think in terms of HR, marketing, sales, and so on. We need to start thinking horizontally and how to construct those workflows that are seamless in the eyes of the customer.
absolutely.
So, just building on that, so I was reading up on this news from TCS. Chandra of Tata Group said very soon there will be as many agents as number of humans at TCS. We are talking about 500,000 people and 500,000 agents, right? And many VCs and PE firms are now saying that it is not possible to have a one-person unicorn, one person with a great idea and a bunch of agents around that person should be able to produce outsized impact. And already we are starting to see $1 trillion IPOs now. I think Anthropic going IPO soon, OpenAI, and people getting $1 trillion packages. Elon Musk is a reference here. So we seem to be seeing some outsized impact from AI. When you apply that entire 10x thinking in the space of banking, how does the future of a bank look like? Will we have as many people? Do you see, as Chandra is saying, same number of people, but as many number of agents doing probably 10x the work?
So first of all, we are in a regulated entity. We are a
Right.
regulated entity, unlike many organizations or many industries. Uh, Trust is very, very critical. And what does a bank have? Trust, lots of data, which can get compounded, and then there is obviously extensive physical presence that we have across. Customer facing roles, like in any regulated industry, customer facing trust roles will see lesser regulation, or change in regulation, not lesser, change in regulation. So will continue to be regulated. Um, what we would need to step up is AI governance, etc. But the people serving those who serve the customers, you will see disruption, massive disruptions. And yes, the outsized impact matters. Fundamentally, what will AI do? And that's something most of us are preparing ourselves to. AI with this outsized impact and ability to solve multiple problems at scale at fraction of the speed, um, will necessitate a little bit more flatter organization.
Right.
The democratization of information, then the arbitrage of knowledge actually is gone away. With that, so the if managers' sole role was to validate what is happening down below and confirming that, that process can be knocked off.
Yeah.
So whether we are a bank or others, reporting levels, and I'm again repeating, reporting levels will get narrowed. Most of us end up having 8 to 9 reporting levels to CEO. That'll go away.
Yeah.
In roles which are serving the customer, we will do it with greater efficiency and seamlessness. The second thing is even customer roles, and we're seeing that we have wonderful thing called Siddhi. Siddhi is like a digital enabler that we have, which has all the AI fed in nudges, all of that, where even the assistants happen. No, you need to talk. You're talking to this customer. You once you call, it is assessing in terms of skill level that you have, and then will give you the requisite learning bite size module. We are already seeing that. See, what is AI doing? Every conversation, whether like you are recording here, um, or otherwise, if it gets recorded and it tells you exactly what you need to do, it's a super papa. It
Yeah.
is thinking and building the tacit knowledge at the forefront. So some of those enablement definitely would happen. We would definitely see a workplace which is more efficient. And if people are not individual contributors, where they are not directly producing something, one
Yeah.
of the things I think AI mindset also needs to do is be a builder, be a
Yeah.
creator, create something. You've got to create and have the expanse. That is, I think, one of the other things that um, we need to be focused on, and that's something that we are working on transforming. But it's very hard,
Yeah. It's a hard problem.
it's not only hard. India may startups. I don't know, Rajiv, how many levels do you have? But India has a social status problem, social esteem problem. Many people say, "Agar promotion nahi hua, to how will I get married?"
Yeah.
Right? I've seen startups which have 13, 14, 15 grades, and I'm saying you're supposed to be flat, and you're supposed to tell funny daddy organizations like us that MD can't be senior MD, right? You've
Yeah.
not been senior CHRO. I've been CHRO.
Yeah.
I've been CHRO. So, um, if that's the case, this mindset that I can be creator as well as growth is not equal to number of people reporting under me, will be a big shift for us, and that's going to happen. You
Right.
will have agents with you, maybe agents, some managers. It will
Right.
happen.
Yeah. So awesome. I love that insight. So you're saying that spans might increase and the organizational levels that you have that is likely to shrink. So in some other industries, what we are hearing is, especially in the US, we are seeing this in a very direct way. And in some industries in India, we are seeing this. AI is taking away entry level jobs, right? So any job that requires an brute force analysis, you don't need people there. And so some leaders are talking about the diamond structure instead of the pyramid. You have a diamond structure. Obviously, the diamond is an unstable structure, right? It's not stable. Like the pyramid has served us for 2000 years. Take religion, take politics, take modern organization. We are all organized in the form of pyramids. So is this going to be a flatter pyramid, you think, or is this going to be a different structure altogether? Given that the entry level jobs are likely to get done more efficiently using AI, and you spoke about client facing customer service folks, maybe there's going to be a lot more AI in that space as well.
You would,
So
sorry,
is that going to be, yeah,
just to make a maybe just nuance it for them. And see, customer service facing servicing roles will see a change, right? That AI can do any transaction processing or even rule based or servicing, etc. But where you need to do selling, right, and where
Yeah.
it is regulated, it will not be driven by men, maybe driven by people. Maybe earlier if I had five people lobbed at the problem, maybe now it will be three, because some things that we spend our time inefficiently will be taken away, but interacting with the customer, managing money, etc., won't be taken away. Structurally, I still think it'll be a pyramid, but it'll be a flatter pyramid. I'm not sure about the diamond structure and everything else. um, it will be definitely be like lot flatter.
Right.
Yes,
Which
there is.
means, Raj, that means that if things get flatter, one of the things about AI is, firstly, as a tool, it makes everybody productive. The other understated superpower of AI is its ability to coordinate stuff, right? Seamlessly cutting across, like the horizontal that you are speaking about, right? Building those workflows, which just means that we don't have to be in pointless meetings anymore, right? Because we think about the purpose of a meeting in an organization. Why do we even meet? Is to exchange information, maybe make decisions once in a while. But mostly it serves the purpose of information exchange, which can be quite easily orchestrated and coordinated using AI. So I can totally see why that pyramid is going to shrink. So does that mean that as a mid manager in an organization, I have to now learn to build something?
Essential, I would say
Right.
essential, because if we were looking at what are the two roles in the organization, somebody who is in touch with the customer, distribution, acquisition, fine, those will remain, those will be harder to take away. And somebody who's manufacturing, and if there is an intermediary layer just to coordinate information, this entire layer will shrink, and that's the role of the middle manager.
Yeah.
uh, you have to be creative, you have to build something, you have to go back. And for all of us, meetings are the most redundant use of our time. Um, and one of the things I've also said is, even in our meetings, we spend one hour with 30, 40 people discussing, and maybe it's a appreciating each other's हाँ बहुत अच्छा काम किया kind of stuff. I said I don't want reviews. We should be discussing problems. Let's
Yeah.
spend the time a lot clearly. Otherwise, these days, even deck making, you put the prompt there, you say, and I've done that, say it in my voice and say it in my, show the kind of template that you have. You go have your dinner and come back, the deck's ready. you
Yeah.
know uh, if the thing is transcribed, the minutes are ready. If and you can make your digital assistant and weekly assistant and just say prioritize my mails, that is ready. So where are you going to spend time? What do you do with the time? You can't be
Yeah.
reviewing people and messing their lives. You got to do something, and that's why I'm saying you have to be the CEO of your own problem factory and directly be involved. So be a builder, be a creator. If you're not creating something, you're losing the race out. And this is actually, that's the biggest mindset shift I'm seeing. How do
Yeah.
you get back into the trenches and do something? Otherwise we say,
Absolutely.
growth nahi hai. I think growth yahi hai. It's the most
Right.
real time that you can see how you can solve the problems and be on the right side of AI rather than being caught out. The
Absolutely.
biggest thing, and I'm saying, and people use different words, AI, tech savviness, they'll use digital savviness, essentially what does it mean? Using and leveraging technology tools to do the same work differently.
Yeah.
And most middle managers don't realize, if learning agility is the biggest predictor of, and curiosity is the biggest predictor of resilience, it is also not key 10 years ago you were resilient and curious and that will continue to be the story. You have to get up every day and experiment. There is no AI training. People
Yeah.
talk
Yeah.
about, oh, I need to be AI trained. AI training is do it yourself.
Yeah.
It is like IKEA furniture that you need to assemble yourself. Don't
Right.
get urban company guys and some other guys to come and assemble. If that happens, then you will be, you if you're 2 to 3 degrees away from problem, gone.
Yeah. Yeah. So I relate to that completely. So one of the things that we often speak about, right, when AI comes in, automation and AI taking away jobs, all of that comes into play very, very quickly. But the mindset of saying, what was my impossible problem earlier? Things that I could not do earlier. Now, can I start applying AI to those impossible problems? And suddenly you've got problems to solve for. That's how I think the organization is going to do more, right? Using the people. And these are folks that have domain expertise. There's no point losing them. Using that domain expertise, can they be armed with the impossible problem statement? Now with AI, we are able to solve for some impossible things. So I totally resonate with what you said. It is a mindset issue. It doesn't mean that you'll use AI in your existing setup and you'll say everything is done, but use AI to figure out what are those customer issues that are still unsolved,
And
internal
we are
issues that are, yeah,
and we're very good at in solving the customer issues. We will replicate the problem or replicate the process as is and make it AI. Very bad.
yeah,
And we need to also distinguish what is automation and what is AI agent. That's
right.
the piece of work perhaps we need to understand and appreciate more. But till you experiment, till you work at it, hoga nahi. And then there is entire conversation on tokens,
Yeah,
token
I was
costs.
going to come to that. Yes.
If you look at adoption for adoption's sake, token cost will be a challenge.
Yeah.
I've been talking to some people where they said, "Oh, we have a token leaderboard. People have to solve problems. That gets flashed." Yeah, but then we also can game, right? Token for I can be solving not world problems, but saying, okay, how do I clean my desk every day?
Yeah.
Kind of stuff, which is inane
Right.
problems that could be using tokens for. The only thing that we should perhaps be using to adopt, and I think this is a frame that not and we made a misstep. We were looking at, and I personally was looking at middle to bottom and then reviewing it. What was the adoption? I was at the sidelines and I said I'm playing at the in my in my space, and I would get my team to say, okay, do this, do that, kind of. I'm still an orchestrator, but a oversight manager prior, like earlier. And I realized in this game, the people who need it the most is me. If I don't experiment, if I don't lead from the front to be a creator, learning how to make agents, doing stuff, understanding, I'll be left out of the race. And it is us, N minus one and N minus two, who need to do a lot more. It's actually top down, is how I would see that people we need to get onto this bandwagon.
Awesome. I love that point. So earlier we spoke about frontline and what's going to happen there, and the mid manager. From a senior leadership perspective, right? What do you see in the industry in terms of this hands-on adoption? I really buy into your point that AI is not a spectator sport. You have to roll up your sleeves. You have to, do it. You cannot keep watching this, right? So, what do you see in the senior leadership level? Is there some readiness at that level to do stuff, or what needs to happen at that level for better AI adoption?
See, we are also used to 10, 20 years of somebody else doing our job, right? Including just the technology team or some other team doing this technology creation. Learn the tools. And there are obviously coding agents available, and those are things that organization need to spend on, because um, fairly critical for leaders to adopt, for them to lead the way. uh, Leaders to think of problems that they need to solve, and work actually maximum time should be just solving problems with using AI. And that's the first two buckets of work that one needs to do. What does AI do? And leaders have to also acknowledge that the longer you stay away from AI is actually compounding every day.
Yeah,
You said, like, what did you say? Figured out where to go, task oriented, found the money, finished it, and then
yeah,
it is on a loop trying to do something more, more, more every day.
yeah,
Humans don't do more and more every day. They don't compound their performance every day.
yeah.
Just by showing up, we are not compounding our performance, right?
Right.
That's what if AI is doing. If it is compounding the performance and you don't do it, you don't show up, you will be left behind, and the gap actually
Keeps widening.
keeps
Yeah,
going, which is where not to get left out. And I'm not saying not to get left out in the race of job relevance and all, but just not to get left out. Leaders have to get on to being in the field. It is
Right.
it is in the trenches kind of an issue. So if it means coding, learn code. If it
Right.
means um, learning how to even define your problems. And interestingly, I was at Anthropic recently.
Yeah.
Anthropic, we went to San Francisco, and then and obviously all of us as parents are worried, what will our kids do?
Right.
Uh, how will they cope up with this environment? And Anthropic is a simple thing. They apparently get people to journal every day. So the notebook, the humble notebook, and your pencil are, in a sense, metaphors of learning and metaphors of preparedness. That's the mindset. All of us in this mobile digital world are have losing the sense of even thinking full sentences.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
journal. Writing
Yeah.
is the new perhaps skill here. In writing, when you write, you're actually thinking, and maybe
Thinking.
yeah, what is the problem that I'll solve for? Every day, just get up and say, what is the problem I need to solve for?
Right. And so, extending your earlier thought, senior leaders have to be builders as well. They are not exempt from it. So, and they probably have the best vantage point in terms of thinking about what's new, what's the strategic shift that's happening. They can, in fact, be the best builders out there if they have the skill. So one of the conversations I remember I had last time I met you is how human judgment is becoming important, right? So just taking the evolution of AI, we started with AI as a tool. It helped us with some information that was just like an extension of Google as we know it. So you used to go to Google search. It gave us pages and pages worth of information that became better organized. So that's information. From information to insights, from insights to now we're talking about agents taking on process and workflows and stuff like that, and so all the way to outcomes. So in all of this, I remember you mentioning the importance of human judgment, so we don't have to play that role of collecting information and all of that. We've got a good AI buddy support system, but when it comes to the purpose, is this something that is fit for purpose? Is this safe? That's all about human judgment, right? So how are you thinking about that when you have to deal with a regulatory environment where judgment is important, accountability is important? End of the day, we can't just say that the AI agent messed it up, but the regulator is going to come back and say, but who's accountable for it, right? So how are you building this ability to work with AI but with a sense of human judgment at scale?
Human judgment, I think, is like thinking. In a sense, you've got to figure out or to teach people scenario planning thinking. What will you do in scenario A, scenario B, scenario C, scenario D? Because um, we all converge. We're all cognitive misers. We converge, thinking fast, thinking slow.
Yeah.
We will use one type of a brain and just go with it. Most of us with tried and tested past patterns in our brains. Human judgment is essentially getting you to use the slow side of the brain as well and say, think plan A, plan B, plan C. It is super critical because what are people struggling with right now? At least the AI that we have, it is able to do most of the tasks. Managers especially need to exercise those judgment. That's why they need to orchestrate the human effort in the context of having an AI in your workplace. Very difficult because they are used to orchestrating effort of humans who are not all as motivated as the AI, not as task oriented as the AI. And then there was generation of this situational leadership, and all of the new models of leadership and oversight will emerge, which is about how do you live in a world where you coexist with the agents, but also ensure that you are able to break your own patterns and think for now, think under pressure, uh, very hard. We are using case studies to try to do it. People may be using simulations, but it is something that um, we are hoping to train, condition our people, and essentially to give them the sense of agency as well, rather than following prescribed playbooks, which all of us uh, tend to revert to, especially in
Right.
a scale organization like us. So it's a tough journey, but we have embarked it with some use cases with the cluster heads and maybe the branch heads to say how do we use case studies essentially to think, get them to think about scenarios and plan and manage trade-offs.
Got it. Yeah, I think that's it, right? So, decision making, judgment, planning trade-offs, because in the context of the organization, any decision that you're making has multiple parameters you need to think through. Have you analyzed the trade-offs well? And finally, the outcome that's coming out, is that in line with what you're trying to achieve, right? All of that is in the human domain, because somebody said this so nicely. Today AI has the capability to do unlimited innovation, right? If you're an artist, you can create as many designs as possible. But what is human in that whole process is knowing when to stop. That's craft, right?
The jobs are going to change, no? We'll be the risk managers. Imagine, because AI is doing the other stuff. When to
Yeah,
stop, what to ask, when to finish.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. So the other question I have is in terms of talent readiness and from a banking standpoint, right? Obviously, even during digital, this question around fintechs happened. Why would somebody join a large bank? And now with AI, I'm sure the same questions do come up. What is your answer to that? How are formalizing in your head in terms of employee value prop?
No different from the other era. We'll make a lot more AI trained people as long as
Okay.
they have the curiosity, the learning edge. I don't see there is any difference in this talent, except for, unlike digital, also this is a talent that doesn't need to code,
Yeah.
right? And I know for sure a lot of people say, but that's what I really like doing. Why is it taking it away?
Yeah.
Right? uh, yeah, so at the front end, obviously anybody can code if they understand it, but at some of the technical skills will be, which we haven't really thought about, the AI governance role, right? The new roles
Yeah.
that emerge, the data infrastructure role. How will you think about it? Even the commercial models, like when cloud came in, people went crazy about cloud and lost a fair bit of money. So
Yeah.
commercially, what does it mean to build this AI infrastructure? What is the ROI, etc. So there'll be new roles that will get created under it. Risk governance, I definitely see space, but how will we prepare and all? Some people who are naturally curious. In any organization, there'll be naturally curious people who may not know anything about AI but self-learned. There's so many
Yeah.
courses, they're just learning by the minute and seeing what, and you will need to find out those from a talent management perspective. Find those people out and plonk them there, give them the task, and get them to flourish.
Right.
Talent will get built along the way. There's no ready-made talent out there.
Right. True. And it's a ever shifting game, right? So the models of yesterday, a few months ago, OpenAI was everything. Today we talk about Anthropic and Cloud Code. So the tool layer keeps changing. I think the meta skills of learning how to learn, curiosity, those become more important as skill sets for people. So on the topic of governance, right, since you brought it up a few times, I saw this video on Instagram and it sort of took me. I don't know if it is AI created or not, but it didn't seem like. So there is a conversation that's happening between a humanoid robot and a human being,
Yeah.
and they are playing a game of rock, paper, and scissors.
Hmm.
Okay, so the human says, "Let's play rock, paper, and scissors," and the humanoid robot asks him for the rules. How do you play this game? And he says, "This is rock, and this is paper, and this is scissors." And the robot says, "Yeah, now I'm ready. Let's play." And they play this 10 times over, back to back. Can you guess the result?
Robot humanoid won it.
10-0.
10-0, yeah.
Demolish, yeah, 10-0 and demolish the human. And this guy is puzzled, right? He's shocked. How did this happen? I just taught you the game, and how can you win 10-0? To which the robot says, I already knew the rules of the game. Obviously, it can go and check for the rules of the game. I was looking for your micro expressions when you did rock, paper, and scissors. And that's how it knows how to beat the human. So that took me because, like I said earlier, this is an objective seeking function. In this context, its job is to win. And so, how it wins this game, what sub goals does it set out for itself, is not very transparent to the human. And there lies the challenge. If you make it completely transparent and deterministic, it is not AI anymore. right? The power of AI comes from the probabilistic nature, the fact that it goes beyond the human capability is what makes it AI, right? So when I think about AI and governance, I wonder if it's even possible to govern a thing like this, which has a mind of its own. It knows where the back doors are. Hey, any thoughts on this? And you are in a regulated environment. I'm sure you've thought through this. Anything
Tough question, because it's the same question of what do we do when learning on AI, right? What is AI learning? Yeah, it's the same simple skills. But AI governance is a biggest thing, because you need to think through, will you have human in the end point in every loop that you develop? Like we don't today. There's a debate in my team. We develop something internally, and the skill taxonomy is a dynamic learning tool. It's like, but
Yeah.
where is the human validation? Shouldn't we have a human validation? And I'm saying, why should we have? But then there is another school of thought. If you don't have a human validation, it'll all be slop, right?
Hmm.
Stuff like this. What needs governance? Where does the human endpoint come in? Um, to what extent will we have the prompt to give ki bhai, you go and find the money and go to break some walls and go wherever, because they can.
Yeah.
Because we'll slap it out. See, definitely in reimagination, what are the boundary conditions that you will go with? That's the role of governance, and you have to think about it, whether you
Yeah.
like it or not. This is the responsible AI. Otherwise, all of us will run amok.
Yeah.
Completely understand when Dario puts out in his essay, world is at an interesting place. Things have changed. Since the time in the 15 days, I saw some Anthropic presentation. They were talking about 4.7. Oh, 4.8 has dropped. Oh, sorry, it's dropped already.
Yeah.
People are talking about production time of 1.8 days, 2 days.
Yeah.
Hello, where is
Yeah.
18 months, 2 years? And I feel so silly. When I had graduated from Excel, we used to have a course on transition management. They said, in the transition space, please give time for people to prepare.
Yeah.
Can you imagine doing the transition management kind of workshops? Where is the space to prepare? It's
Yeah.
happened, finished as of yesterday. Either you're on the train or you're not. There's no preparation time.
Right. And I want to extend that into the impact on the human, because you're dealing with a pretty large workforce at Axis Bank. Um, uh, does this correlate with mental health, well-being, and does that feature at all in the conversations on the employee value prop? On the one hand, we don't get the time to even digest, reflect, prepare for that change, right? What does it do to the human?
So, one of the things I genuinely feel role of HR and NNE is also teach people to be human, get their best part of humanness out. Now, if you say, oh, earlier we said creativity can't be done by creativity,
It's
AI
all
is
done.
creative. Yeah, it's all
Yeah.
done. Somebody now, I read कि only human consciousness can't be codified in AI. And I'm like, if that also is done, then what is left of being human?
Right.
Uh, it is sobering to think about it. This self-recursive learning loops are, you think about it and I have goosebumps. But yes, as long as humans are there in organization, you will have to teach, you'll have to remind them to be human. And being human means also being vulnerable, uh, being the coach, counselor, etc. I think that will come into the fore a lot more. Yes, wellness in some shape or form will come in terms of what my purpose is, what gives me meaning.
Yeah.
If will farming give me meaning, or does work give me meaning? And interestingly, this entire concept of AI agents, etc., is a wage arbitrage question. And in India, the labor is not that expensive compared to the token cost as yet.
Yeah.
So yes, it's a question, but it's also a question. Like every time, we're far more optimistic that new roles will get created, but may not be at scale. Uh, Maybe we'll have multiple 1 trillion unicorns who dealing in not money but something else that's more valuable to agents. But yeah, it's a question, and HR managers have to, through programs and practices, have to get the humanness into the fore and work around that. As much as you discuss, you are the anthropologist, discuss culture, but you also have to discuss this aspect.
Right. Totally. And picking up on the token maxing trend that's going on, yesterday we had a conversation where one of the leaders mentioned that it's not just about token maxing, it's also token junking. And the problem there is everybody is on a pilot mode these days. And one of the guests gave us a keyword, pilot-itis. So it's almost a disease right now, where everybody is starting a pilot. Me, thousand flowers bloom is how we are approaching it, right? So with that, there are multiple AI tools that are getting into the organization, right? And each one trying his or her own thing. And is it all optimized for the larger use case? Perhaps not, right? So there's a lot of licenses of Copilot that we may have, a lot of licenses of maybe Anthropic Claude code that we may have, all lying idle. While we say, okay, the next big thing has come and I'm moving towards that. In the process, there's a lot of token junking happening as well, right? So the other insight that was loud and clear, and this came from a CHRO who said, we burned through our tokens in the first 3-4 months of our yearly budget. And what was telling is the drop in productivity of people when they were told you can't use AI anymore or go slow on AI. Suddenly, you're not able to use. Imagine if all of us are not able to use ChatGPT one day. I think our leave letters will not happen on time. So many things will not get done on time. So that was a telling moment for her that without technology, suddenly there is this. It's almost like a highway where there is you can go at any speed as you want, and then there is a choke point, like a typical Indian road. So that's what they are experiencing, this fit of start and stop, which tires everybody out. Do you see that in terms of how people are, going about? And you mentioned the wrong usage of tokens by creating a leaderboard, you're just incentivizing random use of it. What's a more thoughtful way of doing it?
Maybe get the leaders to first do it rather than just putting it across the organizations. And that is an ROI. Get the leaders, get the co-work space, create those agents, all of that. And, get leaders to think about unstructured data. AI is about unstructured data. It's not about structured data.
Yeah.
It's really about unstructured data and giving meaning and shape to it.
Yeah.
Not the structured one. As you said, probabilistic, etc. It just shines light on unstructured data, which we have in plenty.
Yeah.
So readers to acknowledge that. What's the power? What's the imagination? And N-2, N-3, downwards you need to look at. And certain verticals you will need to give full-fledged. Think a little intentionally. It is not an IT problem.
Yeah.
It's everyone's problem. It's an everyday problem that all of us need to solve for, not just outsource it to IT. So, think a lot more prudently. And even if a little bit of money extra is spent, it's okay. It's part of the learning thing. Don't fret too much.
Right. So when we work with, let's say, the big fours, the interesting insight there is their role is, let's say, audit, right? It's as deterministic as it can get, right? The numbers have to tally, they have to match, there can't be any hallucination and so on, right? In an environment like that, how do you apply a completely probabilistic system, right? So they create sandboxes where it has to be deterministic. There are sandboxes where it can go wild and free and so on. But the leader's role in such a scenario is building that system. Where should it be deterministic? Where should it be probabilistic? I think just that clarity helps the organization do things right.
Absolutely. Can't agree more. And also learn the possibilities, because AI is not really about getting the same workflows that it is about unknown and reimagining those parts, what is possible, and you will see the difference and the power, and that I think is super special. And it is the most creative time. You think about it, you are getting into this space which is so different, so useful. You will also there'll be surge of your own productivity and your own appreciation.
Absolutely. So, Raj, final question from me, and we'll open up for some questions from the audience. So, I was reading up, I think sometime earlier this year or last year, there was some news that HR teams are now starting to report directly into AI teams, right? So, and because if what Chandra says comes true when there are as many agents as number of humans, or more agents compared to humans. And it's a two-part question I have for you. Now, will HR sort of start gravitating more towards the AI team, the chief digital officer, and so on, when we are outnumbered by agents? That's question number one. Question number two is, I read this news from China the other day, I think probably a month or two ago, where one of their courts is saying you cannot replace a human job with AI. It's China saying this, right? At some point, do you think, from an HR standpoint, we will come to some kind of an equilibrium with agents where the government sort of steps in and says, for every human or every 10 humans, you can have only one agent, or some ratio like that? Do you think? Because ultimately, governments need to create jobs, right? That's how they get elected. And if that gets threatened, I'm pretty sure governments will step in and put in a regulation. Like if China does it, I'm sure in other democracies as well, this will come in. So, two-part question. How do you see this? One, the role of HR in the future, is it likely to be subsumed under an agent creation team? Second is there likely to be a human agent ratio coming up anytime soon?
Could be, depending on how pervasive the AI conversations are in organizations. If the net job creation is fairly limited, definitely it will be a social problem looming large for governments, and they will get into it.
Yeah.
On the first part, it's the same question as relevance. The more I dwell on AI and I keep on sending to my management committee, is HR really required? And I tell my team, are we really required? No. Why am I required? Starting with me. I said, you guys will all be employed, but why am I required? Currently, my understanding is we will be required for precisely the same risks that you will see with people agent interaction. I don't think we are right now ready for, at least in a regulated entity or large service organization, zero agent model, because you don't know what is the hallucination, what's the slop. At least as long as the company is there, there'll be a CEO and maybe some 3-4 people. They can't
Yeah.
do everything, right? So I'm not sure of, sorry to say, maybe some of it is also gimmicky, having HR reporting to artificial intelligence or all of that. I have seen CIOs becoming CHROs because the workforce
Oh, yes. Yes.
transformation is so large. We are at a crucial juncture in our history of humanity, and even the Taylorisms that we had of manufacturing era in organization and those principles that we employed, those need to change. And hence I'm seeing different kind of people coming into and becoming CHRO, which makes me believe, yes, CHRO role is critical, not only just to say the traditional hiring, but also reimagining the workplace.
Yeah.
Very critical. Reimagining culture, reimagining aspiration and potential in the context of AI. What does growth really mean for people? If everybody's a creator, what is a growth? Super
Yeah.
creator? So many questions to bear. What is capability? How do we drive capability in the AI world, where AI will learn more, learn faster than you? So lots and lots of questions, but interesting times is what I think. Creative times. My only urge is get on this field, do something about it, and distinguish yourself in terms of what you can do and reimagine fully.
Awesome. I love that. And it's my personal POV as well that in the age of AI, we spoke about structure today, the diamond or the flatter. So it's all organizational design, right? And there can't be a better time for HR folks than now to reimagine what the structure of the future could look like. How will collaboration happen between different business units, right? So through AI or agents. And I also think at some point, HR today is also the guardian of culture and ethics and fairness within the organization. That one team everybody looks up to. In the future, with agents as well, can there be an HR element which looks at the culture of an agent? What are their values? How do we train them on fairness and responsibility and so on? Can HR be the team that does it?
Hey,
Right. So
Rajiv, on this question, 10 years ago also we're saying, oh, you'll have bots on your payroll. I have, we've developed money bots. None of them have gotten to the payroll. This entire question of AI agents will be they'll be cultural evangelists. I haven't seen it. I'll discover. But I'm just saying that there's a lot of all these sensational um, dystopian talk about all of this happening. Yeah, some of it will happen, but not in the same shape and form. I don't think so.
Right.
Uh,
Raj, what I was referring to here is HR playing that role. I'm saying HR will play that role of
100%.
AI.
HR will play the role, and the governance on culture will be their job. That's what I'm saying. For
Right.
setting standards, setting policies, being the cultural gardener, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Uh, that's where it's required. Talking about, what I said, reminding people what does it mean to be human. It's okay. All of that
Yeah.
is in the realm of HR. So it's the best place, best time to be.
Awesome. And we have few questions coming up on the chat window. So I think there's a question on skill building. How will HR help employees to bridge the skill gap if AI were to be restricted?
So,
So
as I
yeah,
said, think about it. These are choices the organization have. It's restricted. I hope the restriction is not to N-1, N-2, N-3. And in that organization, they are not expecting the frontline to get on the bandwagon, right? So,
yeah,
if it's a choice, then it's also dependent on what the expectation is.
yeah,
But skill building here really wouldn't happen not through formal courses but through licenses to working on it. And I know, see, employees are smart. They are, all of them are experimenting on their personal space. They have all paid subscriptions, so many of them, and
right,
they're using it. I think it's a bigger problem for organization. Half the data is sitting here also.
right. Sure. So there's a question from Yuvraj. How do we shift mindsets from viewing AI as an IT initiative to owning it as a people and culture transformation? Right. That's a good question. And what's the hardest mindset barrier you have encountered at the senior level? I'll tell you one that I've encountered. I hope I retire before I have to do something about it. I've heard this so many times at the senior leadership level, at conferences, on stage, leaders saying this, right? What is it that you've experienced as a hard mindset barrier?
This entire be a builder. We've forgotten the
Hmm.
muscle. Be a
Yeah,
creator. What does it mean? And we've also forgotten where do we add value. See, technology, IT, they know it because they're creating something. What is it? What is creation for a learning and development professional? Content development, standing up. Okay, what does it mean? For an HR partner, what does it mean? And I'm using HR example. That's the
yeah,
biggest barrier. Finding what you do is of value, which you can create directly, is a
right.
big barrier.
Okay, so there's one more question here. For the last 2 years, we've been focusing on teaching people how to use AI tools. As we move into agentic AI, where AI can independently execute tasks, what new leadership capabilities become important?
Hmm. Thinking risk, thinking controls, having the savviness and the fluency. Second thing is the leadership mindset is there is no, I won't say there is no overt specialization. Every specialization will get obsolete, but you need to have multi-skill fluency. You have to have one deep domain that you are part of. You use it for your problem solving, but multi-skill, multi-domain fluency, or multi-domain generalist, you can say. You need to have that. That's a leadership mindset. How do you remain curious and keep on challenging yourself? And it's curiosity for really curiosity and resilience in a space which is changing so rapidly. It's tough on people because you're working not on twin speeds but four legs.
Yeah.
So that needs to be ensured and managed. Yeah.
Awesome. So we have one more question. Maybe this is the last one. This is from Emmer. He's asking, how are banks preparing, let me see, the frontline workforce? In the future, most banking interactions might likely be handled through IVR, which is already the case, right? I don't know too many people are walking into a branch anymore. Will the human interaction then become a luxury for premium consumers and perhaps a competitive advantage for the next decade, which I guess is already the case, right?
Already happening,
Yeah,
already the case. So which is, so you have the virtual RMs, they're getting replaced. They then even even people in the branches are using telephone a lot more. Who's traveling to the branches?
Yeah.
Right? So configurations will change. And as far as on servicing, I know a lot of people actually prefer talking to the AI as long as the AI is very good.
Yeah.
They won't want to talk to a human. So it is really about convenience, and the definition of service, customer management, relationship, all will change with these entire tools. We want somebody who has the knowledge and agency and has the comfort to seamlessly close it. Um, I think the front lines uh, roles, at least I can talk about our bank, we are getting them to use the digital platform that we have internally for employees, which has all the AI nudges, just getting them well versed with it. Because with it, what we've seen is if you use it according to your skill level, the learning will come in. According
Sure.
to your skill level, product brochure will come in. Just getting them comfortable with that and teaching them this new habit. In fact, it is so good. Like people who exit also, they say, "Oh, the one thing I miss about Access is this enabler,"
Oh,
as you
wow.
said. Yeah,
Right.
really, really strong and powerful. And hopefully it is a moat for us, both for employee retention and everything else.
Awesome. Great. We just coming up on time here. If I have to quickly summarize what I've learned, and always, whenever I meet with you, Raj, I walk away with so many insights. This time is no exception as well. Um, I think the if we were to analyze the word cloud that you've given us, I think the word builder will show up. I'm pretty sure because that's I think one true north, right? If you're not building something with AI, you are bound to get left behind. That's I think loud and clear. I think that's one key message that you've given us, and also different levels within the organization. What are people expected to do with AI? For example, at a junior level, maybe I'm a user of AI. Do I use it responsibly? For mid managers, they have to build stuff, build newer use cases, go after the impossible problems. And senior leaders, I think you spoke about for them to role model. They have to start. It is not a spectator sport. They have to start this. And yeah, and you also spoke about quite a few things: curiosity, resilience, uh, horizontal organization using AI, and many more insights. I'm thrilled with what I've heard today, and above all else, I think what I'm taking away is your optimism around AI. Right, the clarion call that you have. Hey, go pick it up, learn it, right? Because it is a technology of the future. I think that's going to stay with our audience. As always, been a pleasure talking to you, Raj. Thank you so much for this time and all the wonderful insights.
Thank you. You've been generous so much. I learned so much from this conversation, and the questions were amazing. Thank you for having me. Last words, just do it
Just
for
do
all
it.
of us. Yeah, just do
Awesome.
it.
Awesome. Thank
Bye.
you, Raj.
Thank you.
Have a great evening. Bye bye. Thank you, everybody.